Finance and all business services. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. You have all been placed on mute, so please type any questions you may have into the chat box. Please keep in mind those chat questions go to everyone, and we do have a team that is reviewing the questions as they come in, and we will try to get to all of them. But if time constrains us, we will be sure to review any unanswered questions after the meeting ends, and we will follow up on those as well. And also, we again will be recording our meetings and emailing each of you a link to the recording. So if you have additional questions that come up afterwards and you need to review a segment of the meeting, or if you need presenter contact information, you will have all of that as well. And finally, as always, feel free to reach out to me and my staff whenever you have questions, comments, or ideas. Bernadette Rossmore and Stacy Balmas are here to serve you and assist in resolving issues. And you will find our contact information on the last slide of the presentation, so you can reference it at any time. So we have one announcement today for our UIC folks. A UI ride survey will be sent to your attention later this week, and the survey will request your feedback on UI ride. And we ask that you complete that survey by November 30th. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact UI Ride by either their direct number or email, and both of those are listed on this slide. And before we get started, just in case anyone is following the agenda that we previously placed in the meeting request, we had a last-minute change, so our purchasing presentation has been moved up to take place earlier in the agenda. So without further ado, our first presentation today will be updates from Office of Procurement Services from the Director of Procurement Services, Casey Puckett.
Thank you, Ginger, and thank you all for having me here. Procurement Services has been busy with all of our procurement offices, and I'm sure that is no surprise to you that all of our procurement offices stay quite busy, as well as university payables. Source to pay is still progressing. We have sent out a number of updates, so if you haven't been receiving those emails, please make sure that you are getting emails from the OBFS News so you can see when updates are coming and when there are trainings. So if you have not signed up for any trainings for the upcoming changes in iBuy, please do. I think they will be really informative and helpful for you to determine what changes will affect you in your day-to-day business and in your offices. Those changes are coming for December 1st. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to our office and let us know, and please do join those trainings as your time allows. And that's our primary update today, Ginger.
Sorry, I could not hit my mute button quick enough. So thank you, Casey. We always appreciate that your office regularly takes the time to be available to this group and provide timely updates as necessary. So thank you for that. Next up, we will have purchasing and contract management updates from Deborah Matlock, Aaron Rosenthal, and Jill Menezes.
Thank you, Ginger. And so I'm Deborah Matlock. I'm the Executive Director of UIC Purchasing and Contract Management. And with me, I have Aaron Rosenthal, who's the Senior Associate Director for UIC Purchasing and Contract Management. Unfortunately, Jill Menezes, who is the Director of UIS Purchasing and Contract Management, is unable to be with us today. But if anyone has any questions specific to UIS Purchasing and Contract Management, just please send Jill an email. And here's her email address right here on this slide. To follow up on what Casey was presenting, there are some major changes that are occurring in iBuy. We do encourage you to please pay attention to your emails as an iBuy user. If you have questions, if your department has some concerns about some of the changes that will be implemented December 1st, please do reach out to the IPEC office, or certainly you can reach out to us at UIC Purchasing or at UIS Purchasing and make us aware that you have some questions or concerns so that we can address them timely. Please note that any of the changes that we are making to be effective 12/1 are so that we can, in fact, implement a number of changes within the next fiscal year. And so with that, please note that as of 12/4, as of December 4th, Monday, that Monday, the FY 2025 accounting period will be opened. And that is in direct response to some requirements that are in the Illinois Business Enterprise Program Act, as well as were added to the Illinois Procurement Code, namely that prior to at least 6 months prior to any renewal, we must review the renewals to determine if, in fact, any BEP goals that had been established at the time of the original contract have been met, and if they should be increased based upon market conditions and availability of certified business enterprise program firms, or if there was no goal, we must determine and we must review and determine if, in fact, a goal should be established. And then we would, in fact, amend the contract to encourage the prime vendor to include that contract goal. Or if, in fact, a contract has not had a goal or has failed to meet the goal that was previously established, then we must determine whether or not we need to rebid to allow adequate time for vendors to meet a goal. And so while request of waivers of BEP goals are permitted by law, we really do discourage the utilization of a waiver. We have a committee that has to review and then determine whether or not a waiver should be granted of a BEP goal for a competitive procurement. But we are also really trying to encourage the university, the state is really trying to encourage the use of minority, women, and disabled-owned vendors that have been certified as such for utilization under the Illinois law. So, so to meet the 6-month requirement, we are opening FY 25 accounting in December to allow us that 6-month time period to, in fact, review BEP goals. There will be a mass mail issuing that regards the procedures and deadlines for not only renewing or establishing annual orders that will need to be in place for the 2025 fiscal year, but also about closing FY 2024 encumbrances. I know it seems like we just finished FY 23, but now we really do need to look forward to FY 25. All right. So any expiring POs and contracts for which there is a continuing need for services or supplies, but for which no renewals are available, we will need a requisition for a new purchase order and or contract request for a new contract. If such services require a new competitive solicitation, we do encourage you to get in touch with us very quickly so that we can initiate that solicitation process. So remember that we do need to allow sufficient time to process renewals if they are available, or to initiate competitive bids, requests for proposals, exemptions, or sole sources. Also to prepare recommendations for the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees meets in May and then not again until in July. So if we in fact need to have any procurement or contract in place effective July 1st, then do consult with us quickly so that we can make sure that we have sufficient time to execute all of the various processes and approvals that may be required for these procurements and contracts to proceed. And with that, Aaron, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Thanks, Deborah. Would just echo your sentiment with the holidays around the corner. We know that the next fiscal year end may not be yet top of mind, but as we progress into the latter half of the fiscal year, just with the incredible large volume of transactions going through our office, really strongly encourage everyone to submit those fiscal year requests as early as possible, just to allow sufficient time. And so as early as you're aware of your needs, once the fiscal year opens, the accounting period is officially open in a week or so, please go ahead and get this request to us. Thank you.
Yep. And so the mass mail is intended to issue by the 27th, if not sooner, of this month. So with that, we thank you for your attention. And certainly, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to either office and we'll be glad to assist you. And happy holidays.
Thanks for those important updates, Deborah and Aaron. And I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so we will move on. And next we will hear from Melissa Plotner with University Payables updates.
Thank you, Ginger. Good afternoon, everybody. I know you hear a lot about Chrome River from me, so that's where I'll start. So the customer advisory group has been busy and very active working on a few things. One of the huge items that was just released was the ability for approvers to make changes to an expense report. Whereas before those items had to be sent back to the expense owner, now an individual assigned in an approver role can change the date, change the tile, if it was selected incorrectly. So hopefully that will reduce some of the back and forth on the expense reports. Another exciting initiative that we're participating in currently is a beta test with Chrome River for a chat functionality. So if you have system related questions, concerns, struggles, you are able to click on the chat icon and interact with a live Chrome River agent that will be able to assist you. Now, they have learned about how our system is configured. They're still learning, so it is a beta test. If they don't have an answer for you, they will direct you back to our customer service office. And they're not able to answer any sort of policy related questions. But this is, so far, we're getting a lot of positive feedback. And so that is looking good, but it is a beta test. So at the end of December, Chrome River is going to evaluate the process itself. They may determine that it is not feasible to continue with. And with that said, the university also is going to review the data and how often it was used. The university may decide that it is not a feature that we want to continue with. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that this is just a test period. But people are utilizing it, and it looks like, from what we've been able to review, there's been some great questions the Chrome River's been able to assist with. There's a quick question that popped in. Our approvers have access to change the CFOP in Chrome River? Yes, the allocation string should be able to be updated as well. And the announcement went out a while back that the standard report option in Chrome River is going to be discontinued at the end of March. And so we're still currently exploring some of the options that Chrome River has available. But from being in there, from a heavy user of Chrome River, it is not that user friendly. So we have been working with the data warehouse team, and they have been diligently working to construct some templates that will match what the standard report options are in Chrome River. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't been to the data warehouse in a while, there will be some upcoming announcements regarding trainings, but please go out there and explore. We're excited that, we have the base templates out there, but with the warehouse, you can really take those reports and customize them to really pull in all of the specific information that you're looking for. And I will say, is Jim in the meeting?
Yeah, I'm here, Melissa.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to touch on the P cards changes upcoming.
Yeah, just a couple. We're gonna need to sunset the old eCard web solution product that we've used for 20 some years. I kind of contributed to that back in 1998. So there's gonna be some activity going on that will change the way DCMs interact with card services. So we just wanted to let you know that that's headed. AITS has identified some support issues that they can't any longer support the platform, the product, the way it should be supported. The technology is really old. There's some internet flaws. So we're going to be working towards changing that. And we're also in the process, the very, very early stages, our last extension with Bank of America regarding being our card issuer commences next July. So we're evaluating that extension, but there may be sometime in the next, 12 to 18 months, some window of a change in our card provider. That's just a possibility. That's not known at this point, but I'm trying to be transparent, trying to let you know what we're working on.
All right. So Jim and I will be on here for the rest of the meeting. If there is any questions that pop up, I would be happy to answer those via the chat, which it looks like one more just came in. Has there been any discussion to allow more than one person to act as the manager in the CCR? We had evaluated that through the customer advisory committee, and it was more of a Chrome River determination that is not an option that they are going to pursue. So, if we customized our experience with Chrome River, we could, essentially lock ourselves out of taking advantage of future enhancements or updates that they make, just because those customizations wouldn't fit with their base product that their developers are working on. So at this point, we're not allowed to have more than one person in those roles. But we do have some things in place. If there is something where somebody is going to be out of the office for an extended period of time, you can always reach out to through our service desk ticket. We do have administrative privileges to move some of those expense reports, but I would ask that they need to be out an extended period of time. If you run into a very unique situation, please always reach out to myself or Tammy Ziegler, and we can help talk you through that and work on a resolution to help get whatever situation it is resolved. There is a question: is there an opportunity to consolidate the P&T card so employees will only have one card? I don't know, Jim may want to weigh in on that a little bit. I see he came
Yeah,
up.
we've had this proposed, probably 10 times in the last 10 years. And now that we're on a common platform where we're conducting transactions in Chrome River, rather than having T cards in TEM and P cards in the P card solution, we'll look at that again. But we're yet to see a tangible advantage to that. Many of our peers are moving away from a one card model. And the only advantage that's been proposed is it takes up one less space in your purse or wallet. So we'll look at it again when things settle down, we get the P card web solution replaced. But we still don't see, like I said, a tangible advantage to that.
Okay, can we delegate the approval role? So you, yes, the answer is yes, you can, but you can only have one delegate assigned at a time. So under your settings in the Chrome River menu, there is an option for delegate. So the basic delegate is somebody that can create expense reports, for you. And then the second option is an approval delegate. And that is who you would set if you want somebody to assume your approval role. So you will have to enter a time frame that that delegation, should be in place. Okay, no vendor payments can be processed in Chrome River except honorarium payments. All other payments need to go through iBuy. That's not exactly, there are some situations where vendor payments can be processed in Chrome River. And I can post the link to the list. We worked in conjunction closely with the purchasing office to develop a list of items that can be processed in Chrome River. So I will grab that link here in just a few minutes and I will post it in the chat so that everybody can see what those allowable items are. Were there any other questions at the moment?
Melissa, I think one other question, Celeste was wondering, are we supposed to see different slides on the PowerPoint? And I don't think you had different slides for
No,
your update. Okay,
we did not.
okay.
Okay, another question. Is it possible to have Chrome River invoices reported in My UI financials and financial statements is the same way as the expense report? To have the invoice document ref section. That is a fantastic question, and I am not sure. So if you wouldn't mind maybe putting together an example of a situation or a screenshot, if you could email that to me directly, I am happy to coordinate with UAFR. They are in charge of the My UI financials, and we can look and see what we can do to make any updates, because if it helps to be consistent as we possibly can.
And Melissa, I think that's a good question too. I'd suggest we run it by the Chrome River Advisory Group. Also,
Yes, absolutely.
That group does have a meeting coming up. So, Melissa, I don't know if you want to send a special agenda item to Bernadette, but we can add that to the agenda. If
Yes,
you let us know what that should be.
okay, yes. So if I could get an example of that, that would be extremely helpful. Can one look up or pull other expense reports other than their own? So there is a permission in Chrome River that is set up by your unit security individual that if you have reporting access, you will have access to what we call an expense management dashboard. And if you have access to that dashboard, you do have the ability to look up other expense reports across the university.
Okay. Oh, one more.
How do I get access to invoices? My unit officer is not sure which to assign to me. If you could reach out to or have your USC reach out to me, I can pull together some instructions that I can give them on how the invoice access is set up. Is it possible to print a PDF of expense reports processed by someone else? At this time, the answer is no. That is on our customer advisory group list of things that we are working on. It has been submitted as a solution request to Chrome River, but they have not added that feature yet. But it is something that we're trying to get them to add. Okay, so I will turn it back over to you, Ginger, but as I said, I'll remain on here. If anything comes through the chat, I'm happy to answer. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Melissa, and thanks, Jim. Great questions, and thanks for taking on those extra answers, Melissa. And up next, we will hear from Stacy Balmas regarding policy updates. Stacy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ginger. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to give you just some reminders on a couple of recently published policies, a policy that's ready for open comment, and then just kind of letting you know where we are in the process of some of the others. So recently we published 7.2.3 updates to it, which is the purchases below the small purchase limit, working with the purchasing offices on that. That removes the requirement for multiple quotes for contracts between $10,000 and $20,000 if you're using a diverse vendor and if you're not using federal funds. And it also helps identify some directories where those small and diverse businesses can be found. We also published a new policy, 8.6.14, electronic codes as an alternative payment method. So historically, you've only been able to use those Amazon gift cards for paying research subjects, but that's been expanded a little bit. That was published on the 9th, so just earlier this month. We're readying for open comment updates to 8.1.1 on business meals, refreshments, and alcohol. We're going to be adding some definitions in there. So what is a business meal? What are food supplies? How are we defining alcohol, catered events, university functions, etc. We're also adding a list of approved and non-approved events for expenditure and reimbursement. Clarifying that students can attend business meals, catered events, etc., if there's an educational component and a faculty or staff member is present. It's also going to list the allowable funds to utilize for alcohol purchases, so be on the lookout for that. We'll send a communication out, but that I'm guessing will hopefully go out later this week or next week, barring any issues that may happen. Some policies that we're continuing to work on. 811.1 on one-time moving payment to employees. There's been a question as to, does this apply to student workers, to be like graduate students with an assistantship? So we're working with the subject matter experts now. We have another meeting in December to go through this. Don't have a huge amount of updates yet because everyone's still just kind of fact gathering. 912 on the segregation of duties and enterprise-wide applications for procurement and tracking of equipment. I think we've told you about this. This went out for open comment. It's outlining the need for segregation of the duties and laying out mitigation plan requirements if you don't have a deep enough bench to do those segregations, including requiring renewal of that plan after 2 years. The goal of the plan being to eliminate the need for the mitigation over the ensuing 2 years. It also includes an online application to help you navigate that. That application is still being finalized. We anticipate, unless something goes wrong with that application, that the new policy and the application will both go live on the 27th. So that's the Monday after Thanksgiving break. International travel insurance, the 1515. Which is a new policy. It's going to require all employees at the university, regardless of which university or system employees who are traveling internationally on system business, to enroll in international travel insurance. That insurance would be paid for by the system. Right now, the Urbana subject matter expert is coordinating with his colleagues at Chicago and Springfield. So once he's had a chance to make contact with them, then we'll all get back together as a group to look over it once more, and then we'll have more information for you on that. But it's still kind of in a holding pattern until that happens. So that's kind of everything on our list right now. As always, if you are ever looking at policy and you see something that doesn't make sense or is clunky or you have a hard time following, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone in our shop. While we're bringing these updates, if you know of something that needs attention, please do let us know because we can't fix what we don't know isn't working. So thank you so much.
Thank date, Stacy, and I am not seeing, oh, there is one thing in the chat.
Will there be a requirement to certify international insurance in Chrome River? I mean, we're still ironing a lot of this stuff out. I think that, well, I don't want to speak out of turn. We're still ironing a lot of this stuff out, so I don't know the answer to that yet. But I will take that question down to make sure that that's addressed. So I'm sorry, Alicia. I wish I had more for you.
Okay, so next we will hear from Jason Bain with an update on Fisha. Is
Yep,
Jason?
sorry.
Oh,
Yep,
yep.
I'm joining. Hang on just one moment. Let me grab that information for you all. Sorry for the delay. Going to make a quick update. I was attempting to share my screen, but not. Let's see if I can get permission to do that. Let's see. Bernadette, can I get oh, there we go. Thank you. So just wanted to remind everybody that we are in the middle of the Fiscal Control and Internal Auditing Act process, starting at the existing business and finance website. Underneath accounting and financial reporting, here's the Fisha kind of resource page, if you will. But as a reminder, we do have a webinar coming up on Thursday. From this resource page, you can find all things Fisha related. Here is more details about those 34 questions that you need to complete. You'll also be able to find the registration for that upcoming webinar again on Thursday, November 16th. If you need to log into the application, it is also available here. And additional training materials, various deadlines that you need to be concerned with, again, listed as part of that resource page. So do take the opportunity to make sure that as you are reviewing the information, answering those questions, that you're diligent as you look through those. And again, look at this as an opportunity to verify that we do have strong internal controls, or that we identify where we have some weaknesses and there are opportunities for improvement in those kinds of controls. So thank you all so very much. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Jason. And I am not seeing anything in the chat right now. So at this point in our agenda, we will take a 5-minute break. And then we will move forward with the rest of the agenda. So if everyone would be back at, let's see, I'm trying to see my clock, at 1:42, we will proceed with the rest of the meeting. Thank you. So welcome back, everyone. And before we get started with the rest of the agenda, Jason, I was just wondering if you could take a look at the chat regarding the webinar tomorrow. And if you want to respond, I just wanted to point out there was a note in there for you.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Sure. So, okay, next up, we will hear from Demethu. Let me see. Is he back? Is he on? I know I saw him earlier.
I am.
Oh, thank you. There you are. So Demethu is joining us from AITS Decision Support and will provide an update on data virtualization.
Ginger, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes. Bernadette, do you need to make an adjustment for him to be able to do that?
No, I
think I-
believe he is listed as a co-host and can do that.
Okay.
Hopefully you're able to see the slides on my screen now.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me here. My name is Demethu Talakrat. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Decision Support in AITS. What that means is we provide the data analytics services across the University of Illinois system using the data warehouse, business objects, or any solutions that you've used. We're building out a new service based off of an analysis we did over the last 2 or 3 years and went to senior leadership and recommended this service. And we've started to build out something called a data virtualization service. When I initially mentioned that, I get a lot of bewildered look from folks to say, what is data virtualization supposed to be? So hopefully with these slides, I can give you a start to what that's supposed to mean. Nowadays, if you want to build out a report or you want to bring data from many different places, if the data is not in one place, you either have to copy the data over or you have to go create a connection to this data source in a file, this data source in the data warehouse, so run a report in Eddy, and you have to join data from lots of different places. And if you continually have to do that over and over again, it can be challenging and time consuming to do that. What data virtualization does is it creates an interface where you can connect to all of these different sources, and you can do that with point and click, or if you want to, you can write SQL code to do that. And it will connect it and present it as one view. So you may have an Excel file on a website. You may be using data from the Census Bureau, or data from a data warehouse. All of that can be connected up and then shown as one view that then you can go ahead and use to build out the reports and dashboards that you want to use. As an example, and this may be too small to see, but on the top there's an Excel file that has data about where the data comes into the data warehouse from. And it's just an Excel file that's available on the web that anybody can look at right now. But if you wanted to combine that, usually you had to copy and paste it somewhere else. What the image on the bottom there is, if you can see my mouse here, I'll move it around, is that data set pulled from the web without having to copy or paste anything. Just say we're pointing to that Excel file. And now we can start to run queries and get information out in it, and then we can customize how we want to share it. It's a really simple example, but I'm hoping that gives you a little bit more view into what it is and makes it less abstract in terms of what we're talking about. So the tool that we are implementing is a tool called Denodo, and it starts off with the logical data so that we can make data available without having to copy the data, and you don't need to move terabytes or gigabytes of data back and forth. The data can be integrated within the tool, so those different data sources can be joined up together. And then you can also create your own semantic layer, which is if you have a data set and it has a name that's not business friendly and you want to make it more business friendly, you can make that in the tool itself and you can share that data with others. So the steps you would follow are connect to all these different data sources, combine them into business views, and then use your reporting tool. Some folks use Tableau, some use Power BI. It really doesn't matter which tool you use. A lot of the tools that are out there in the industry now connect to Denodo and are able to get to the data that you want. The process we're thinking about is similar to the way we work with the Tableau server. If you use Tableau projects to build visualizations for yourself, or you have team members who do that for you, you request a logical database, you create an Active Directory group so that you can manage who gets access to your virtual database. And then you can build out the data set and share access with the folks that you want to. There's a lot of new technology, new content in that, and Denodo does a really good job of training and giving lots of guided lessons on how to use that. And on the site there, community.denodo.com, there's a link on the top right. And if you register with that with your university email address, they'll know that you are part of the university and that the training is paid for. And there are different perspectives that they include here on how to use the tool. You may be an end user, so how do I consume the data? You may be a data analyst in your role or a developer. You have different paths you can take and different courses that can help you learn about how to use the tool itself. There are some areas that say, hey, a payment code is needed. And if that comes up, if you use that code that's on the screen, DNEDUD 2023 UBD, you'll be able to go ahead and just use it and it won't charge you at all. We will be creating some training that will be covering university specific things that will help you use the tool in addition to what Denodo provides itself. So in summary, I'm here today not to say the tool is available, but I wanted to start to raise the awareness with you. And if you want to share that with others, if you want to share that with technical folks who help you, it'll be good to start to build that awareness that the solution is coming. We'll be developing the procedures and the training content to help people use the tool. And as with working with data and security, there's a security and privacy consideration as well. And we are starting to meet with the security and privacy folks on Friday of this week, and then we'll have continual meetings to really design out how we want to protect how folks use the system. We want to give people the power to be able to work with their data, but we also have to be able to do that safely. So we have to find that right balance. Our target is to make this available across the university system in the spring, so March timeframe. We're going through an early adopter process now where we're getting folks in who volunteered and trying things out, making sure that our process is accurate. But the goal is, instead of having to copy lots of data around and move data around and trying to struggle with different formats, you'll be able to use this one place to go in and connect to all your data sources and then just start to use it instead of having to spend a lot of time recreating the wheel each time. If you have any questions after this meeting, feel free to reach out to that email address. We monitor that, and we'd be happy to share any details. And as more training comes along, we'll be able to share that as well. With that, I think my presentation is done and open for questions.
Thanks, Dimithu. That sounds very exciting. So I'm sure it's an exciting project, but I'm not seeing any questions in the chat yet, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that. So thank you for that update. And next we will hear from Cami Anders on foreign national payment e-form updates.
Thank you, Ginger. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Cami Anders, the manager of the Foreign National Service Center group within University Payroll and Benefits. And we are excited to present to you guys today an update that we have made to the Foreign National Payment e-form. So for those of you that have used it, and if you haven't, I'll briefly explain what it looks like now. It is a fillable PDF that is emailed to our group. And then documentation is submitted via pair, via email, or via fax. So we have updated this form to a workflow through Form Builder, and the documentation will be submitted within it. So we are very excited to have a one-stop shop for the foreign national payments. And so I'm going to share my screen here and present. I'm going to go ahead and demo the form here. Okay, so when you log in, of course, this is still in testing. We are due to go live December 4th. We will be sending out communications on November 27th and then again on December 4th. The links that are out there to the PDF right now will just be replaced with the link to the form builder. So when units log in, this is the view that they'll see, the new form and form views. So to fill out a new form, you just click on this button here. And just to go through the fields here quickly and point out the most important parts, the payee information, it will ask if the individual already has a UIN or a vendor number. And of course, if they do, you can put that in this field here. The nice thing about the field as well, you can see during testing, we actually used a net ID and that works as well. So it'll show you who you are paying. If not, you'll just click no and fill out the 4 fields for their information. And then under payment details, you'll fill out all the information about the payment. So let's select the payment type. Some will have additional information that appears, so make sure you're reading that. If you're unsure of the payment type, our Foreign Nationals resource page does have a payment selector tool out there that you can use and answer various questions that will help you determine what type of payment it is. And then some payments don't go through this form. For example, employee recognition awards, even if it is for a foreign national, those would go through ANA. So just make sure that you're reading the information that pops up. Dates of activity. You can type in either one date, a range of dates. You can use words for the dates. This is a free fill field, so type in whatever makes it clear for the dates of activity. For the method of payment, there are 3 different options. If you choose direct deposit to a US bank, the form will be forwarded to the payee for them to enter their own bank account information. So that is an upgrade. Currently, if an individual, for example, a visitor that you're wishing to pay an honorarium to, or an independent contractor, if they have not previously provided bank account information to UPB, we do not have it on file and we were not able to process direct deposit. But now with this form, it can be forwarded to the payee and they can fill out that information so that we can direct deposit. For wire transfer to a non-US bank account, UPB does not have the capability of wire transferring to non-US bank accounts. So there are separate steps for that. And it does explain that if UPB does make the payment, a paper check will be created, and to wire the funds after that, these are the instructions that you would follow. And then if it's being forwarded to UPay, of course, UPay has its own process for wire transferring funds, so you would want to work with them to make the payment. And then if direct deposit or wire transfer is not available, then a paper check can be picked from the dropdown. And to let everyone know, that's going to be sent to the campus or to the mail code via campus mail that is inputted right here. Okay, and then in the description field, just explain what the payment is for, as many details as you can to make it clear to us what the payment is for. And you're putting the dates in here, but if there needs to be clarification regarding the range of dates, you can add more information here. Then you'll decide whether or not the department wishes to gross up the payment. That would be that the unit is covering the taxes. So you can see here that you are agreeing to cover those taxes and that you would enter the net amount after taxes that you wish for the payee to receive. So if you're making a $100 payment and you want the individual to receive $100 after taxes, then you would put $100 here, knowing that the unit will be charged the additional taxes. So it'll be over $100, depending on the tax rate. Okay, and then department name, department contact. So whoever needs to be contacted for those, you would put in their information there, or yours, presumably. Department phone. And then of course the CFOP information. You can have a maximum of 2, but you just need to make sure that when you are selecting 2, I'll just scroll down here, that you're indicating the percentage. So if you want half to go to one, half to go to the other, Form Builder does not automatically change those percentages for you. So you'll want to make sure that you manually do that and that it equals 100%. And then the account code is listed here. However, it is defaulted in Banner when we make the payment based on the payment type, which is why there are X's there. And then the documentation upload section here. So sometimes payment requests are given to current students. They may be student employees and we have up-to-date information, immigration information for them. So if we've given you approval that the request does not need to be submitted with supporting documents or can be submitted without them, you can indicate yes here and then check to confirm it, and it will not prompt you to upload any documentation. However, for things like honorariums and contract payments and royalties, we don't have information on file typically for those individuals. So you will indicate no, and then you'll be able to upload as many files as you need here. If you're unsure about the documentation needed, you can go out to our resource page where we also have the list of required documents based on payment type and visa type. And then finally, department authorization. So if you are authorized to approve this payment for your department, you can click on yes, and then check the box that all the information is correct. And if you are not, then you can check no and enter the net ID of who would be able to approve it. And then the form will be sent to that individual. They'll be able to review all the information you completed, and then they will also have the attestation down here. Now, once I hit save, it's going to look differently on my end because we are in the test mode and I have access to everything, of course. But once you click on save, you're going to see a confirmation that has been submitted, and you'll also get an email saying that it has been received and it's under review. But to go back to, oh, and if you have any invalid fields, you'll have to correct those. To go back to the views though, so we have two different views for units, one in progress payments and then ones that have been completed. So if the in progress one, just to show an example here. So you'll be able to see the payee's information, what type of payment it was, the amount, the last modification date, and what phase it's in. We will be making documentation to show the different phases so that you know which order it goes in. But it typically is for National Service Center review, and we determine whether we will pay it or it will be paid by UPay. So you can see here that after review, if we are going to pay it, then it'll go to FNSC approval and then to UPB processing. However, once it's done in the completed view, you can see that it either was routed to UPay. So any questions regarding the status of payment or method of payment would need to be directed to UPay. Or you'll see that it went through our approval and it was approved and paid by UPB. All right. That was my very quick demo. Are there any questions? I see a couple here in the chat. Provide a guide to add a new employee to Chrome River to be able to submit for reimbursement. This is not in any way affecting reimbursements for Chrome River. This is for non-reimbursements.
So Cammie, that question might be for Melissa, and we can come back to that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. When paying a scholarship to a foreign national student, the payment options differ. So a scholarship to a foreign national, a U of I foreign national student will still go through SAPR or DAWS, depending on, I guess this is not DAWS, it would just be SAPR. Will the supporting documentation be secured in the new eForm? Yes. Yes, the eForm, Form Builder does require you to log in with your NetID and password, so it is a secure method to submit documentation. On your end, obtaining the documentation from the individual, however, you'll still need to go in a secure method to get that documentation. A lot of them are going to contain social security numbers and cards, So it is suggested that you use a secure method for that. Why wouldn't the 4National student not have updated info? How would they update their info? So these of course are one-time payments to individuals, awards, prizes, human subject payments, etc. However, we do have another method to obtain documents, but those are from employees or fellows. So the tax status review sessions are where we also obtain documents. However, it is still up to the individuals to keep our office up to date. We do not share information with the international offices, so they have to keep us up to date, and that unfortunately doesn't always happen. So we could have outdated information, or you could have a student who, even if they're an employee, they may have never attended a tax status review and therefore never provided us with their immigration history. So in those situations, if you have a bulk of students you need to pay awards to, or human subject payments to, or even one, you can always contact our office through our service portal and ask if we have up-to-date information prior to making the payment, and that'll help you all with knowing whether or not you need to gather the documentation. When is it going live? It is going live 12/4. Yep.
And then Melissa chimed in regarding that Chrome River question. Cami.
Okay, perfect.
But then there is another one for you.
To pay for national, all documents are attached to the e-form and submitted in this one repository, correct? Yes, yes, that is a huge improvement from the last e-form. The PDF still says to fax to our fax number, and we are aware of several offices that no longer even have a fax machine or a way to fax. So we were accepting in the interim documentation through Pair because it was secure. But those of you who've used Pair probably agree it's not the most user-friendly. So we are very excited to get away of all these different methods of submitting and have it all in here, and a way to check the status, because before you just found out the payment was made when the check showed up or the student told you they got the payment.
And I think
And the EFT question.
Yes.
The documentation that is submitted through this 4National payment e-form will be uploaded and given directly to UPay. So if you include, if you know that a payment is going to go to UPay, which sometimes units are aware that it will be forwarded to UPay once they get our stamp of approval. So if you know that it's going to go to UPay, or you even think it may, you are more than welcome to include that EFT form in the documentation that's uploaded within the 4National payment e-form, because all of those supporting documents will be uploaded and given to UPay for their review. All right, I think that was the end of the questions. If anybody has any questions that they think of after the meeting, our service portal on the current OBFS website, you can just log in and create a ticket for us, and we will be able to answer that for you. Thank you, Ginger.
Yes, and I'm not seeing any more in the chat right now. So thank you, Cami. And now we will turn our attention to Charla Roberts and Dale Morrison from the Office of Procurement Diversity, who will introduce us to MNG Graphics.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
My name is Nadia Torrance. I am the Business Operations Specialist for Office of Procurement Diversity. I am taking over this portion of the call for Dale and Charla. In lieu of them being gone, I just want to introduce myself here. And as people know, we oversee vendor diversification here within our department. We are committed to establishing an equitable environment to proactively help businesses owned by minorities, women's, persons with disabilities, and qualified veterans. Today, I would like to introduce Angie Wise, the owner of M&G Graphics, a woman's a woman-owned and integrated marketing service combined with technology that helps support today's business environment. And so I will now yield the floor to Mrs. Wise to discuss the impactful opportunities that M&G Graphics has to offer. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Nadia. My name is Angie Weiss. I'm a managing partner of M&G Graphics. We're located in Chicago. We've been in business almost 40 years. And I met Dale at a UIC forum. I was there with my daughter, actually. And he told me about this. So I just wanted to thank everyone for this opportunity. I do have a little slides to share.
Bernadette, do we need to make her a co-presenter?
Angie is a co-presenter already.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let me just get this up real quick.
All right, looks good.
Okay, great. Thank you. So just a little bit about us. We are women-owned. My mom actually got our first certification in about 1986. We are BEP, and I know that's very important to UIC. A little bit about us. We are family-owned and operated, women-owned and family-powered. We have our 40th anniversary coming up in August. We're centrally located in Chicago. It took me about 15 minutes to get to, so very, very close. M&G is nimble by design. So every day things are changing for us. Every day our clients' needs are changing for us. We've invested in some of the best technology to support those needs. And actually we have our third generation with us and are excited because of all the technology that we've been investing in. Today was really eye-opening listening to some of your challenges. I'm just wondering if there's anyone on here that actually purchases print or has any creative challenges that they need help with.
And I think maybe some of those people could raise their hand if you were interested in that information, Angie.
Okay, great. I'll just keep on going here. There's many different things we do besides print. We offer different coatings to make items stand out, especially for the universities that we work with, such as foil stamping and embossing. We do die cutting. We offer direct mail service. We have variable data now, which is really cool because when you target your students, you're able to target their name, target where they live, and just lots of different variable data, even with their picture. Each actual item can be different as it's printed, and we could do from 100 copies to 10,000 copies. We have so many different products in our list, and we do a lot of brochures, saddle stitch books, table stands, presentation folders, really anything you need ink on any sort of product, we can do it. And if we can't do it, we have excellent trade vendors that always help us out with that. We also offer a storefront service. This is kind of new to us with COVID. As you can imagine, as printers, all of the events got taken from us. So within one day, we had a work in process of $500,000 and it was just gone overnight. So we created a storefront and a kitting service. So for instance, for a lot of the universities, we do employee kits. So there could be up to 1,000 employees on this site. And anytime there's a new employee, they're able to order business cards. Someone's able to order, let's just, for instance, a UIC shirt for them with the size. Since we're so close, we can actually have it delivered the same day to your employee. That's just one of the things the storefront's good for. There's multiple things. We have 40,000 square foot of space here. We actually are the manufacturers. We're not brokers. So everything we do, you know, it goes through me and it goes through my employees. Quality control is really important. We also have an in-house creative team. So for instance, if someone's on vacation or out, you know, family leave, we can do all the copywriting, graphic design. We could do photography. Just we're kind of like an extension of your team at that point. We do a lot of different industries. As you can see here, and I won't go through all of them, but for higher education, Loyola is one, University of Chicago, and we actually already we are a certified vendor for UIC. Some samples here that we've uploaded is we've done some marketing material for UI Health, for the law school, for the College of Medicine, different student guides for Loyola, just different kinds of collateral for Northwestern. We also do tie cutting, which is, you know, a lot of fun. So again, with the variable data, you can create personalized items. We do a lot of funding and things like that. So a lot of reply envelopes, and we do all of the mailing, the fulfillment, and we drop ship globally. Our print is on the high end. The quality is very important to us. We offer every single sort of bindery out there that you're looking for. And we also are environmentally conscious. So we are FSC certified, and we recycle all of our paper, all of our aluminum, and our large manufacturing plant is all LED lit. So, you know, why work with us? We have just a team of 25 and really high quality. We've been doing this for 40 years. We're very flexible. We may not be the biggest printer out there, but if you call us and you need something done the next day, we have the capacity to stop, pull something off press and put it on press immediately. And that happens more than you think. Also follow through. We, you know, once we are done printing, we don't just stop there. We want to know how the campaign went, you know, if the fundraising went well, what we can help do different. Like I said, things are always changing, and we have a creative studio that helps us out, and we really, you know, test our marketing. So that's it. Also, we offer tours. If any students are interested in, you know, printing and creative, we are, like I said, 15 minutes away, and our door is like always open. I've actually been working here since I was 12 years old. No need to say how old I am today or how long it's been, but my parents started this, and like I said, my daughter's here today, and so is my nephew. So it's great. We love it, and we'd love to just be a part of your team. Thank you.
Thanks, Angie. And I'm not seeing anything in the chat right now. And as far as a question for you, but thank you, Angie and Nadia. And for, let's see, we do have, presume you are already added in iBuy and will accept purchase orders.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Just saw that one. Okay, so thanks again, Angie and Nadia. The last two updates will come to us from Technology Solutions and will only apply to our UIC folks. So UIS participants are welcome to stay on while we hear from Technology Solutions, or you can feel free to sign off at this time. And just as a reminder, you will receive an updated link to this meeting. So next we will hear from Jason Maslaka and Gemma Koo from Technology Solutions on digital accessibility policies.
Hi there, everyone. I see a lot of familiar names. For those who I don't know, I'm Jason Maslaka. I'm the AVC for Innovation and Chief Technology Officer for the university, for UIC to be exact. We have two separate groups from my team who are going to share some things that we thought would be of interest to this group. I also did, on the front end of this, we're going to talk about accessibility and then the update on our phone system just to this group, which is very large, very important. Encourage anyone to reach out to me and anyone on the call today, but especially me, anytime you have any questions about anything in the world of technology, anything technology solutions, services, and anything that we can do to be of assistance. So please don't hesitate on Teams or on email to reach out anytime with jason.m@uic.edu. For the presentations, I'll turn over to the staff who knows way better than me, and we'll also, I believe, ahead of schedule, certainly have a few minutes to answer questions that come up in the chat or otherwise. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Gemma Koo to talk about accessibility and its importance and its growth on our campus. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gemma Koo. I'm the Director of IT Accessibility. I'd like to talk about UIC Accessible ICT Procurement Guideline today. It's going to be a good information for us all. So I'd like to start with a background of this implementation guideline. So currently we have a federal and state legal compliance requirement for the accessibility. Those are Americans with Disability Act and Section 504 of Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And also in the state level, we have Illinois Information Technology Accessibility Act. You may heard the acronym IITAA. And in particular, 30 Illinois compliance statute called ILCS 587 is defining the IITAA certification requirement. And those federal and state level compliance impact UIC. As a result of this compliance requirement, November last year, UIC, can you hear me? Okay, so November last year, UIC created a policy called Information, Communications, and Technology Accessibility Policy. We call that as ICT Accessibility Policy. And this campus level policy comes with 4 implementation guidelines. And 2 of them are Accessible ICT Procurement Guidelines. And second one is ICT Accessibility Exception Process Guidelines. So first, Accessible ICT Procurement Guidelines. The goal of this guideline is to ensure that university employees who are responsible for procurement purchase accessible ICT product for student, faculty, and staff. And then purpose of the guideline is to adopt formal accessibility compliance requirement, which does not exist before in UIC. And second, we're trying to evaluate the product accessibility with due diligence before signing a contract with a vendor. So please use ICT exception review process if ICT accessibility flaws are found in the product, or if you need any help to review VPAT or accessibility conformance report, please reach out to our consultation services at Technology Solutions. And also, we're trying to create a communication plan for known accessibility issues and provide equally effective alternative access plan. So if you click the link, you can find out more detailed information what those means. So second implementation guideline is called exception review process. So the goal of this guideline is to establish a formal process for requesting exception to the UIC ICT accessibility policy for specific technology or content. So this process should be applied to all inaccessible technologies, including those related to purchase, renewal, and software developed in UIC. And procedure is that anyone who considering adopting technology that does not meet accessibility standard must first submit a request to initiate the process using the ICT accessibility exception request form. The form is very user-friendly. It would not take more than 10 minutes. So as a final presentation information, so what are the guidance for business STEM members? So please request a accessibility components report or voluntary product accessibility template, we call it BPAT, from the vendor before making a purchase. Please request that information. And then if IITAA certification refusal by the vendor or other non-compliant cases are found, please request an ICT exception review process. So in this stage, you may need to collaborate with unit and department head to fill out the form, because the form requires to provide equally effective alternate access plan as well as communication plan for communicating those barriers with our constituents. So just as a last step, it is very important that having those accessibility plan ready for the approval. And also this last step requires the collaboration with unit and department head. So this is all I would like to share today, and please let us know if you have any questions. And also you can contact me anytime via my email address, and here are resources to be helpful. Okay, thank you.
We recognize that there's not a lot of desire for added compliance burden in the procurement process, but this is incredibly important. There are changes to Title II that are going to make it even more important and more significant. So we are dedicated to finding more and more resources to assist units, but know that this is something that is deeply serious and does require each of your units to consider as you're making purchases in this space. We're here to help, but it can be difficult and it can be trying. We will help walk you through and make it as easy as possible. Any questions on that topic? I know some of you have already gone through the process. Hopefully we've made it fairly simple.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat
Great.
right now.
Sounds good. We'll be here if anything else pops up in the chat. On the second half of our updates, I did want to introduce Matt Willis, our Senior Project Manager, and Jolene Crehan, Director of Network Engineering and Infrastructure, to talk a bit about our project to replace the university's phone system with Zoom Phone. So Matt or Jolene, please.
Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jason mentioned, we are to talk about the UIC transition to Zoom Phone, make sure that everyone has awareness on this project and what we are doing and the sort of expected timeline with it. So for this project, we're looking to design and implement a cloud-based communication service to meet our organization's operational needs and enable the university to focus on its institutional mission. In short, what we're looking to do is take the tool that we're using today for this meeting and allow you to make phone calls with that, rather than the phone and the device you've been using on your desk for years and years. And that transition has a lot of benefits. Briefly, they include you can have support in-person, hybrid, or for a remote workforce. So if you're working at home, you can answer your phone just like you could at your office with the same number. It'll enable number portability. So we'll have the capability of, if we need to look at a particular carrier that's a better opportunity for the university, we have the ability to have portability for our numbers to have the best option. Integrate calling, texting via the Zoom client. So again, the same program that we're using to have this meeting, you'll be able to make calls with at UIC. Retire legacy systems. This is always a great benefit for a lot of our projects when we have resources that are dedicated to things that take a lot of energy to support. We can put them into other things to provide you new services and capabilities. Build modern communications capabilities for colleges and units, giving you additional capabilities, as we mentioned, and Last but certainly not least, on America Recycles Day today, the sustainability and green benefits of this capability is no small thing. The amount of hardware that we have for phones and the e-waste to be considered here. We've talked with the Office of Sustainability and kind of what happens at the landfills with a lot of these things, and having the opportunity to get rid of that in a small way, in no small way with this project, will be a great thing for the university. As a timeline for this project, we've kicked off in March of this year, and we're still in the stage of planning and designing. There's a lot of technical things you can imagine that we need to work on, and we're working through. But we have 3 pilots that we're running. Those pilots, as we work through, we're taking lessons that we learned there to make sure it's a great experience for everyone when they come on. It's least impactful to your operations as we can make it. And then beginning next year in January, we would look to start migration of the campus to Zoom Voice. What we've done is held one-on-one meetings with various stakeholders. If we haven't met with you yet and you'd like to meet with us, you can absolutely reach out to me or anyone. And so from Jolene's team and myself, get a good understanding of your use cases. We've heard everything, things that we hadn't had a good understanding of, like the Department of Athletics said, hey, the bullpen needs to have a waterproof phone. Okay, well, we need to make sure that we understand what are the unique use cases you have so that we make a solution that works for everyone. But ultimately, we look to schedule and have this completed for all migrations in spring of 2025. Let's see, there's a lot of questions here in the chat. So working our way through just to make sure that folks understand this is sponsored by our CIO, Matt Riley, and Jason introduced me today. We're meeting frequently with them to keep them aware of progress and making sure we have all the resources that we need for the project. Jolene and her team are the leads for this, and I'm the project manager. As far as communications, there are resources on here. So as this is shared out, you can find information with our website. We're publishing news articles, and we are posting to the teams, UIC teams. So if you're at UIC and you're on those groups, and of course, you can always reach out to me. As Jason said earlier, you could reach out to him if you have any questions that you're in need of information that we're not providing. And so with that, again, you could find additional details on the project webpage, which will provide a lot of this information, and we're open to any additional questions that you might have.
So Matt, Kathy wondered if this includes UI hospital and clinics?
That's a great question. And Jason, you want to explain what
not
those boundaries are
at this
at?
time. So we have talked to them. They have their own, well, it is similar. There is technically already a separate installation of Cisco, the Cisco's VoIP platform in the hospital and clinics. That will remain. We have talked with hospital IT leadership. It's entirely plausible that they follow suit at some point. There's some back-end infrastructure behind this that's called SIP trunking. So how this all gets routed, those are both separate right now. We may work to combine those, try and save a bit of money. I think once we have our environment in place, they'll take a look at it, and maybe a portion of their environment can be in Zoom Phone, but for now, no changes to that space.
And man, I don't know if you can see the other questions in the chat or if you'd like me to read those.
Sure. So
they've asked about the Cisco VoIP phones that are currently being used. So we have been working with the sustainability office where the plan is to notify each department when we are ready to migrate them and have those discussions about their business need and what kind of services we need to provide within Zoom that they use now. And then we will have we'll be working with the local IT group to collect those phones. And we have a few student employees that will be collecting those phones and then getting rid of them with the sustainability office the correct way so that we know that we are disposing of e-waste properly. And the question was, let's see, when is it going to be scheduled? We'll reaching out to all those departments and we'll come up with a timeline, typically with the IT director of the group or the IT contacts that we have through IT governance that we're working with. We will give the department a list of all the phone numbers that we have in our system that are tied to users. Sometimes that information is not correct, so we'll actually be asking the department to do a first pass. Tell us if this user is using this phone number, what are the changes that you need to make, what phones are not being used, and start that way, and then check to see how they're using their phone to see how we can provide the service that they're using now on their physical handset in the Zoom platform.
There are two questions that touch on the Urbana campus. I think I can answer them together. Well, the Urbana campus continues to have Zoom meetings. They have no intention of using Zoom Phone. I believe their transition is to Teams Phone, the Microsoft product. So compatibility is an interesting question because at the end of the day, these are just phones. They're compatible with anything that can dial a 10-digit number. There's compatibility. So you can call them as you ever could. You can call someone's cell phone. It's really just a phone service. Touching on the Teams part of that question, I assume that's more about chat aspects, and that's unrelated to this project, but I can share. You will never see, per se, the Urbana folks in Teams. That's just not how Teams works, at least right now. But you can message them directly, and that's a relatively new change. When they were in the Lync environment, Skype for Business, something in the Microsoft world made that not work well. But these days, if you type in a full email address into a Teams chat, you will contact someone in the Urbana tenant or the Springfield tenant as well. So if you type in whomever at illinois.edu and go to chat with them, if they're a Teams user, it'll pop up the same way it does here at UIC. So that is just something for people to know that's unrelated to this project. And then in terms of the phone systems, yes, they will be completely different phone systems, but phones call phones in general. Transcription capabilities, Matt, do you know offhand? I believe so. The same as there is in Zoom meetings. You can turn it on and it gives an audio prompt that the call is being recorded.
That's right. I'd say the one thing we're looking at is there may be some cases for PHI things where we have to kind of closely look at that. So depending on use cases there again, but we'll have that capability for, I think, general usage.
New phones and transfer requests, will the user receive? So I think, we're in a state of change right now. Maybe Matt can answer better, but in general, current changes of units that aren't moving over will move to the Cisco soft phone solution. There'll be a transition period. No one's going to get a new Cisco phone. That will not exist from about a month ago forward. And then in the future, as their unit is transitioned to Zoom, they will transition as everyone else will in their unit. Conference rooms, do you want to speak to, Matt?
Yeah, and
late in the project, right? We're not doing anything with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a couple of questions on that. So generally for Zoom, we license that to an individual, but we can also license that to spaces. So if you have a conference room, if you have like a reception desk where you would have student workers that would answer that wouldn't necessarily have a Zoom license, it can be licensed to that space. So we have that capability as well. And so when we meet with you to understand your use cases, just identifying those, and we can absolutely make sure that we set those up for you.
Yeah, fax lines are not in scope right now. Conference phone technology is something that we'll look at going forward. In some cases, we'll want to explore Zoom rooms and very different tech, work with local IT on that. It's a different world in terms of what you may want to do in some of these rooms. And there's some relatively inexpensive technology that can be put in a small I saw some of those at a conference this week, into a small conference room for 10 to 20 people, where you're using Zoom meetings with a neat camera and a good microphone as opposed to using a conference phone in the room. So some of it really depends on your use cases going forward. And so we don't want to just the goal of this project and entirely is not to replicate the former environment in the Zoom environment. It is to make positive change and modernize as many spaces as we can. That's hard to do at a big decentralized campus, but it is the goal as we go around talking to everyone. don't see anything else. Any other questions?
Sandra had a question about a couple of phone numbers that are general contact us or reception area phone numbers. Did you
Yeah,
see?
so it depends. It is a different way of thinking in some regards. If it's that there's a desk that is staffed by 3 people, then they will all be owners of that phone and be able to use it. Phone, meaning phone number in a sense. If it really is general, it's only students. We can license phones of that nature. Many ways to do it. Those things will all exist. I think we just want to talk through specific use cases, and it really is, there is a difference between the various things I just said as to what the right solution would be. But at the end of the day, all those sorts of things, if you're someone who's currently in a call tree where it rings your phone after the 4 people before you didn't answer it, the same sort of thing exists. It's just all within the Zoom app and that environment, as opposed to being a bunch of physical phones that are ringing from here and there.
And one follow-up question related to the Urbana in Springfield, the abilities between all 3 of the universities. I think there are some challenges with Teams meetings, you know, and knowing who is calling in or who is joining a meeting. I don't know if, and so when I think Deborah was one of the individuals that asked about compatibility with that. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Thank you, Ginger.
Yeah.
I don't know if I totally understand the question. Is there a little more info?
So my extremely limited knowledge about this, one of the reasons that we have this for a Zoom meeting, normally we schedule Teams meetings, and Bernadette, you may be able to elaborate on this a little bit, but I think we have scheduled this as a Zoom meeting because of knowing who is actually joining the call. Did I get that correct, Bernadette? Do folks show up as just a guest, a general guest?
Yes, in a Teams meeting, if we were to have this meeting there, most UIC folks or UIS folks, we would have to add them in individually because they show up as a guest and need to be added in.
That shouldn't be true, and I don't think it's true for UIC's implementation of Teams. So I would take that up with the Urbana folks, because you should be able to have an open Teams meeting the same way you have a Zoom meeting, and whoever clicks the link is able to go to it. That's how our environment works. I mean, we generally prefer Zoom here for meetings, but Teams should work the same from that perspective. So I don't know. That may be a setting. I know that, again, there's been a transition in Urbana from the Skype for Business world to full Teams and Teams calling, and some settings change behind the scenes there. I would check with them, or also check on the setup of individual meetings, because both platforms work pretty much the same in terms of their openness to whomever comes to the meeting.
It actually,
I see some head shaking. I'm happy to talk more, but I need
So we've
more
had-
information. And I don't run the Urbana Teams platform either, so I can't tell you exactly how it's set up.
Sorry, Stacy, were you going to say something?
well, I was just gonna say, yeah, we have that issue where, you know, if we get somebody from UIC and sometimes UIS, we have to click to accept them into the meeting. The other issue is with policy, we have like the policy advisory group that has representation from all 3 universities and system offices. And so we'll set up a team in Teams to allow everyone to share all of the data, you know, the files and draft and things like that. And sometimes we do have issues getting folks from Chicago mostly, and sometimes Springfield, into those teams so that they can access the same files as everybody.
So relatively recently, there was a change in multiple environments that allowed for, and I don't remember the name of it. The group who runs that for UIC is not on this call, but they are, I don't know, cross-tenant channels or something along those lines. Those, as far as I know, work quite well. We use them for sort of the IT leadership team is the group of my peers across the system. We have one, we share files with each other. So it's plausible that if the team or the channel was set up prior to that functionality, it's not working quite as well as it should.
Okay.
But you may want to explore, and I'm happy to talk to you offline too, because people don't really know about it. But literally you can create a team and then set up a channel that is meant to include people from anywhere, in all honesty, including our 3 universities in the system. And it works pretty much like you're all local.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called Cross Channels, you said?
Don't quote me on that.
Okay. If you could
Maybe
just,
send
if
me
you
an
could
email,
just
I can
email
tell
me
you. I'm
that, yeah.
trying to find it while talking, but I'm not
No,
seeing
totally
the name.
understand. I'll shoot you an email and then you can just
Yeah,
respond
please.
to that. I don't want to take up more time. I'm sorry. Thank you
Oh.
for listening.
No, it's great.
There is another question in the chat about, will you provide, oh, Matt just responded, accessories for, okay.
In general, no, but there's the specifics are in there. So I think for desk phones, for the most part, and certainly when it comes to handsets, our goal is to move toward a world where most people are not using these things now. Handsets and headsets, certainly people will want to use, but desk phones for your average user is just never going to be something we recommend. Even if people are used to it, change is hard, but you get a much better experience using something connected to your computer, and the tremendous flexibility that comes with it, and the expense. I mean, those Cisco phones were quite expensive. And again, lead to a lot of waste. The team is testing a number of models, and there will be standards that, again, we think people should follow if they want this, similar to buying a laptop today. So I think in a future state, you can think of a desk phone like any other accessory that a unit may buy for someone. That there's some standards. We've done some testing. We've got some help desk or some knowledge articles on which ones are compatible. You go on CDW, you buy them and you plug them in. It's a much different world from today, where it requires central programming to make phones work. So totally different than that.
Okay, one more.
No cost changes. No, not at this time. The phones are supported as part of the rate and funding. People know that, and there'll be no change to that at this time.
Okay.
And I agree with Gemma. Zoom meetings are the best. That's our stance. So we encourage people to use Zoom meetings much more than Teams meetings, but they're all supported from a UIC perspective.
Okay, the chats have slowed down. So I will thank you, Jason, and to the rest of your team. Great information, very timely updates. And if you ever need to come back to this group, definitely feel free to contact Bernadette, and we'll make sure that you get on the agenda.
So much.
Yes. So in closing, I would like to thank all of our presenters today. There was a wealth of information that was shared. Also, a thank you to all of the participants for coming today. We appreciate your time and hope that you found the information useful. And as a reminder, you will receive a link to the recorded presentation. And finally, I would like to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. We hope to see you all for the next meeting in the new year on January 24th. And thanks again, and have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.